Aryna savagely retaliated against Aryna Sabalenka. Yes, all of it was caught on video. An irate handshake months ago evolved into a full-fledged battle that nobody saw coming. Winning a game wasn't the only thing at stake. It was about pride, atonement, and proving that talent could defeat authority. Under the dazzling lights, every serve and point felt like a declaration as the two reunited. The events of that night, however, went well beyond tennis. It became a lesson in self-control, rage, and revenge. For Alexa, this was retaliation rather than merely a game. A few months ago, it all began on a steamy evening under the bright lights of Dubai. Alexandra Eala onto the court with the same quiet focus that had helped her win junior titles and become well-known across the country. Across the net, Aryna Sabalenka stood fierce, powerful, and unapologetically confident. It wasn't just a match. There was a collision between the planets. Youth versus experience. Calm precision versus raw ferocity. From the very first serve, there was an incredible amount of enthusiasm. Sabalenka's fury tore through the air like thunder, but Eala's control and court sense reacted calmly. For a while, it appeared to be in balance, but then Sabalenka began to use her psychological ploy. In between sentences, she smiled. When I missed a straightforward return, Sabalenka's frown across the net said it all, and she might have celebrated too loudly. This isn't where you belong. Around the second set, frustration began to set in. Every stroke I made appeared to be accompanied by the weight of anticipation. Rather than the up-and-coming artist who was still figuring things out, the audience cheered the well-known acts. Her eyes were the center of cameras, but when they zoomed in, they broke. Sabalenka knew how to use that. She roared after aces, laughed after victories, and walked the baseline with the confidence of someone who had already written the ending. The story's pivotal moment, the point of match, then arrived. In her usual valiant fashion, Sabalenka ended it with a stunning forehand winner down the line, but Eala fought through 3 deuces, defending with unwavering determination. With the racket slack in her hands, the spectators erupted. Eala remained stilled, as they approached to shake hands. The tension was so intense that it could be tasted, in a whisper that was only partially picked up by the microphones. Sabalenka remarked, "Welcome to the big leagues, kid." Then the smile came on. For days, millions of people would gaze at that haughty, disdainful smile online. Eala was forced to rebuild. Even though Eala's eyes conveyed a different message, her quiet metamorphosis returned the smile. Beneath that calm face, there was anger, embarrassment, and something deeper, an unspoken promise. In the changing area, Eala hid behind the back of the camera. She sat quietly with a towel over her head while her phone continued to vibrate. The handshake videos had gone viral. Fans examined each and every frame. Her poise was defended by several. Others made fun of her quietness. Sabalenka showed off her power. There was only one comment read. Another person responded, "Give the girl some time. You'll notice." That night, I skimmed it all. Every tweet, every highlight, and every jab about her lack of experience. She held back her tears. She held back from yelling. She continued to observe because something inside of her had shifted. The loss did not break her. It carved her. The goal it inscribed was too clear to be obscured even by sleep. She began reviewing each point in her mind as blueprints rather than mistakes. Every missed shot was an opportunity to learn. Every smirk that Sabalenka had became fuel. Over the next few days, she vanished from the public spotlight. No interviews, no training videos, no statements. But those who knew her well saw the change. Her training were longer and her rallies sharper. Rather than making them public, she started living positive messages. One of her teachers whispered, "Revenge," as he observed her from across the room. That is what motivates her now. He was right. Following that evening, her palm bore only one name inscribed on each drop of perspiration, each repetition, and each mark. Sabalenka. At the time, the cameras were not aware of it. The fans didn't expect it, but the next time Alexandra Eala performed for Aryna Sabalenka, she wouldn't be a burgeoning star. It would be like a tempest. After that night in Dubai, Alexandra Eala disappeared. Not tennis, but noise. Only quiet, NO interviews, news conferences, or social media updates. But something powerful was growing in that silence. They declared that revenge is best enjoyed cold. Eala thought it was well-deserved. As the rest of the tennis community went on, she essentially and figuratively vanished. Her training base relocated to Morca, where days dragged into nights and regularity became an obsession. 8 battles resulted from contests against practice partners over 6-hour meetings. The coaches asserted that they had never witnessed her in this state. Ruthless, resolute, and unstoppable. While her team dubbed it the rebuild, Eala referred to it as unfinished business. Every morning started before the sun came up. She would stand at the baseline with her eyes closed, reliving in her mind the handshake, Sabalenka's cunning smile, and the whisper that said, "You're not ready." Anger wasn't what drove her. It served a function. She wasn't going to demolish Sabalenka. She wanted to surpass her. It went beyond a simple physical alteration. It was psychological. She saw how Sabalenka covered up drop shots, her breathing before a forehand, and her serve rhythm. Eala didn't only prepare to play her again. She prepared herself for understanding her. After every missed shot during practice, she whispered to herself, "Next time." Her coach once tried to stop her after she had been on the court for 5 hours. Eala said, without looking up, "She trains longer." The clash. He didn't. They argue once more after retaliation reaches the court. Her absence began to draw attention from the sports community. Fans wanted to know where she was. There are rumors going around. She is in pain. She's worn out. She is no longer self-assured. However, this was known to those who had seen her training. A fire was present. It was just hidden, waiting to explode when the time was right. Then one afternoon a footage surfaced online. A quick training video was provided by a teammate. Eala is hitting serves with all of her strength. Like thunder, each one echoed around the empty indoor court. It simply stated, "She's coming back. Stronger." Within a few hours, it became viral. Comments were flooding in. Her appearance has changed. She pays close attention. Is Sabalenka involved in this? Eala never checked it out. She was not required to. The eyes, which were sharper, colder, and more purposeful, revealed the tale. Her coworkers noticed the shift as well. The girl, who had previously questioned her own time, now pursued excellence. The guy who used to smile under pressure now looked through it. When her coach inquired if she was ready to continue the trip, she just said, "Find me her bracket." And fate accomplished just that. A few weeks later, the Madrid Open WTA draw was cancelled. Eala is in the same section as Sabalenka. If they both advanced, they would undoubtedly face each other in the quarterfinals. The internet exploded. Sports media nicknamed it the revenge run. "Is it possible for me to protect her from the Titan?" was the headline, but it didn't respond. She just practiced. She didn't leave a comment or post. But behind the serene exterior, her heartbeat quickened. It was this. She was aware that the voyage had come full circle and that the story had written itself. Now she would have to cope with the Eala she never saw coming. It was the same woman who had once teased her. Before her first game, she looked into the mirror in the locker room and whispered, "This time, no fear." Every swing had a purpose that week. With every victory, the inevitable collision got closer. Reporters questioned her about the rivalry, the handshake, and the muttering. Eala smiled politely and replied, "I'm not thinking about the past. I'm thinking about what to do next." But everyone knew the truth. Next was her background. It would soon be seen to the cameras that it was about to catch fire. When Eala eventually stepped across the net from Sabalenka again, the fans would sense it, and the storm that had been building for months was set to blow. The atmosphere at the Madrid location is dense. That stillness that lies between disorder and anticipation. With phones out and hearts racing, every seat was crammed with fans. Now came the moment for the competition that everyone had been looking forward to. Alexandra Eala versus Aryna Sabalenka. Reputation as opposed to reprisal. Calm precision versus pure strength. As soon as you set foot on the court, you could feel the difference. Eala didn't smile or wave. Across the internet, her incomprehensible, unblinking gaze was fixed while her racket constantly pounded on her thigh. In contrast, Sabalenka came in like a hurricane. She gave a fleeting smile, the same grin she had in Dubai, as though she still had command of the circumstance, but this time, she didn't own the moment. The first serve of the match echoed like a shot. Sabalenka used forceful opening strokes, slamming aces and shouting, "Fallout and internet explosion" after every point. But Eala did not back down. She moved with the smoothness and fluidity of water. Every rally devolved into a power battle. Then came the glare. Eala used a laser forehand down the line to finish one of the first set's longest games. Following 23 strokes of flawless accuracy, the crowd erupted. For the first time, she didn't just turn away. She was motionless, composed, and frigid as she gazed straight at Sabalenka. That one look spoke everything. "I've changed as a Dubai girl." Cameras immediately zoomed in. The video quickly gained popularity on Twitter. One post claims that Eala merely shot Sabalenka the death stare. Another said, "That's the look of retaliation." The intensity of the game increased. Eala skillfully returned the strikes. Despite Sabalenka's attempts to overwhelm her, it was chess disguised as tennis. I became Sabalenka's shield as she clenched her hand and yelled in an attempt to terrify her opponent. Something extraordinary happened in the middle of the second set. Sabalenka became agitated and flung her racket into the court after losing back-to-back points. There was a gasp from the audience. Eala remained silent. She simply moved to the baseline, bounced the ball 3 times, and hit an ace down the center. It was the competition's fastest serve for her. The stadium collapsed. Sabalenka stared in disbelief. Eala was not happy. With a single nod, she appeared to indicate that one was for Dubai. The cameras recorded every moment, including the message, the serenity, and the glare. Broadcasters referred to the moment as the tipping point and played it back in slow motion. By the time the last set began, the level of anxiousness had reached its peak. Every point felt like a shot-by-shot conversation between rivals, and every rally felt personal. IA kept Sabalenka in the match by breaking her serve at 54 with a blazing backhand winner that painted the line. "Make a match." The chair umpire, Eala, shouted. She dropped to her knees in relief rather than shock as the audience went wild. Months of training, humiliation, and silence led to this. As they approached the net, Sabalenka